it sound like we're heading out to the clubs every weekend, right?
It sounds like something they just took from their closet.
I mean, I'm just not a hand lotion person.
It's not like a what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of situation. You know?
I'm so glad that none of you do my appraisal or are involved in my professional life.
If someone calls me in like 2 hours before the party and says, I'm not coming, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be so mad. It's my favorite time of the year and we're deep into holiday season, which means social gatherings of all kinds. It's time for joy, connection, and sometimes a little bit of awkwardness. So today on The Usual Place, I have Elizabeth Law, my colleague from the features desk at the Straits Times, and she's also had the pleasure of being my friend for a very long time, and I know her to be someone who loves to host parties at various times throughout the year. And I also have Friday, who is the audience growth specialist at the paper, and she's a social butterfly until her battery runs out. So guys, thank you very much for being on the show. And with today's episode, I actually wanted to answer a couple of like social questions to get your views because you guys love to party.
Don't make it sound like we're heading out to the clubs every weekend, right?
Disclaimer, we are very responsible adults.
Yeah, it's just like we like having people over and together. And I feel like we need to distinguish between like party, like at a club, and like, you know, having a nice gathering of friends at your house.
Okay.
Like an adult party.
Adult party. Liz.
I mean,
adult party.
I've never been to one of those parties, which is fine. Just leave me out of it. But I just wanted to start maybe with something out of home, but maybe in a context that we are quite familiar with, which is the office. And often during these times, we have Secret Santa, right? So do you guys like participating or not? Like, be honest.
I mean, why not, right? Like, it's no skin off your nose. It is quite, you know, it doesn't cost too much money. It's not like it's going to cost half your month's salary or your entire transport budget for the month. It's like usually about $20 or so. So why not? Everyone has a little bit of fun, be a bit creative, do a little bit of nonsense. Everyone has a good laugh. Of course, that being said, there are some colleagues who can be who don't put very much thought into it, don't put effort, and then they buy you stuff like an IKEA home repair kit.
What's that? I feel like I want that.
It comes with like
tools and all that?
like a tool set. It comes with like screwdrivers and like wrenches and.
Why would you not want that? Sorry, I want that.
I mean, if you already have your own, then also like, but why?
Exactly, because if you're a normal functioning adult like us with our own homes, you would already have one of these. Why
also, it's kind of random, right? Unless you did specify you wanted something like that. But why would you? Why would you? It sounds like something they just took from their closet.
Yeah.
And just wrapped because they forgot.
Or like they were trying to do like some last minute shopping for their own home Christmas party, and then they're like, oh shit, I realized I forgot to buy like present for my office Secret Santa. Now everyone's going to discriminate me because I'm the thoughtless person who did not have a present, and then
it seems like an afterthought.
Yes.
Or maybe not, who knows?
Or it came through the IKEA delivery. Like, you know,
yeah. But I do love doing Secret Santa. I love giving gifts. That's my, what's the word for it? Like,
USP.
Love language. I love
what
giving
gifts. What did you say, Liz?
USP.
But love language. We call it love language. Liz, not
Okay, it's called
USP.
love language, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love giving gifts. I'm the kind of person, if I see a gift, not even like Secret Santa stuff, but like if I see a gift or I see something that reminds me of you, I'll get it anyway. So I love participating in it, but I've been in the end of like receiving gifts that are not, you know, great, and I gave a good one. But for me, it's more like the spirit of it, you know. It's not so much of like what the gift is. And the important thing, because I've hosted Secret Santa before, is like to allow people to put wish lists.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The last year for Secret Santa, there was a $20 budget, but this person who I got in the wish list asked for a gift that was clearly out of budget.
What was it? What did you want?
It was a branded notebook that retails for at least double the price.
Aiyo.
And so I was like, you know, I'm a bit like, I need to do this. So I scoured anything I can. I found someone who was willing to let go of a brand new one, but they had multiple for the price. So I still hit the budget.
Oh.
But I was just wondering to myself, why don't you just find something that hits the budget? You know what I mean?
Is $20 too low?
I think it's fair because especially when you do office theme parties, you have to take account about people who, let's say interns who are joining in, they don't earn as much or they don't have a salary the same way that we do. I think it's being considerate about it as well. It also depends, I guess, how close you are. You know what I mean? If it was a very close group, then maybe.
So Secret Santa is very specific, right? Because you have to choose like one person to buy for. But what about if you do like, white elephant? Everyone brings a gift. And then you have
That's
the whole
fun
thing.
actually. I've never had it. I've never tried that before. Have you?
Ooh, yes, I love that because then you get to see who is like creative and everyone, no matter what, every year it happens. Everyone always wants to go for the biggest box.
Yeah, but which may not be the best present, right?
No, I know. I know someone who once like had this giant box for an office party, and everyone kept trying to go for the biggest box, and it turned out that inside it was just a bath towel stuffed with like newspaper and wrapping.
I don't know what to say about the gifters. See, okay, so my thing with Secret Santa is you either get a really rubbish present that you don't want, or I think the idea of it is just a lot of waste. Like I always get hand lotions or what else or they'll give you like hand lotions, which
Or like
is
body soaps.
or body soaps, which
Candles, scented candles.
Oh yeah,
is
candles.
like how many candles can I buy? How many hand lotions? So I have stuff that expires
Right.
from years ago because I'm just not a hand lotion person and it's easy to buy. Everybody's going to like well-known stores which have these things, and I'm just like, oh, this is so wasteful.
That's why it's so important to have a wish list in your Secret Santa. Like indicate what you kind of want. The worst kind is if you have something that's in the list, but someone got you something completely different from the list.
Do people do that? I mean, they
I've never
literally told
experienced
you
it.
what they want.
Yeah, I think that's like, so last year for a party that I went to, there was different age groups, right? So you saw in the wish list like the difference in ages because one of them like asked for NTUC voucher. So it's like, oh, that's
Which is
it's
legit.
very
I
practical
want
gift.
NTUC vouchers. Yes, give
It's a
it
very
to
practical
me.
gift. Yeah, so I think one thing for sure is, let's say if you don't know what to get for Secret Santa, getting a practical gift is always like helpful, in a sense, like vouchers. And also like in the US, giving gift cards is such a big thing over there. But we don't have a lot of gift cards here. It also gives them the person who got the gift the ability to choose what they want.
So where are we about, like regifting stuff?
Okay, listen.
I think if you want to re-gift properly. You got to make sure that the tags are off and it's not expired. Especially if you're, gifting something edible or like makeup or whatever it is.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, like stuff like, edible things, I don't think it's very good for regifting.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you get it within the season, and I think it's not like something that's from a year ago,
Right.
like maybe, you got a hamper and it's something that's really nice, like a bottle of wine or something, and you're like,
I would
okay,
just give it away instead of gift, like
Oh, okay.
regifting it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I got
Rewrapping
this,
it.
I can give it to you instead of like wrapping it like, oh, I bought this for you, I got this for you.
Or put
Yeah.
it back in the seat, like, you gingerly open it and then like, hand cream, okay. And then
To be fair, I
all
would
right,
just
Liz, if I get hand
Christmas
cream from
snack.
you, I'll be like,
now you know what not to get her for Christmas.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
'cause it's gonna go far,
you
far
know
away.
what? I actually got you Aesop hand cream, but since you said you didn't want it, nope.
I'll make an
Yes, I
make
will
an
love that.
exception. I'll
I
make
will
an
not
exception.
regift it. You have that.
Aesop, I can do Aesop. That's like, okay, so question, is it alright to opt out of Secret Santa? Does it make you a killjoy at the office?
Honestly, I think it's alright. The whole point about asking whether someone wants to do it, if I would rather have someone say they don't want to do it than to do it for the sake of doing it and then then not really enjoy the spirit of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's okay, to be honest, if someone doesn't want to. It should be a choice. Yeah, that sort of thing.
I don't know. There are some party hosts who would have standby presents, so that
Wow, this is like extra level.
Can I be invited to your party?
Nothing used to do that as well. Whenever we hosted like these big Christmas parties, there will be like standby
For those who
presents.
didn't get any presents.
Either for those who didn't get any presents, or when we would have this little gift exchange thing where we would play White Elephant, right? And there may be someone who didn't or forgot to bring something, and she'll be like, yeah, just take one from the pile and just be a part of it. But then as I have gotten older, I'm like, is this a little bit condescending in a way?
Why? I think it's quite nice. Like
yeah,
if
why
you're the
is it
person
condescending?
who came at last
Yeah.
minute and you didn't know that
Right.
they were having Secret Santa, you're like, oh no, and then but at least they're still involved, right?
Right. So then, in the office context, should we have something similar? Like, that if you are the organizer and your colleague decides to opt out, but that they're going to maybe feel a little bit left out when people are exchanging gifts during the office party.
Well, I mean, if they choose to opt out, they should know that it's the consequence of it. There's a difference between that and someone who like didn't know it's happening. I think that's the difference, right? Also because I think it wouldn't be very fair to others who actually participated and got some stuff. But yeah, honestly, I think if you opt out, then this is the consequence. You just don't get a gift. And I think most of the people who do that are aware that this is what will happen anyway. It's different than if you went to a party and you realize, oh, they're doing this gift exchange. I've been in that position before. Like I've been just invited and I didn't know, but I got a gift. Like the host gave me like a spare gift, which made me feel very included. And also made me feel like maybe I should have brought something.
I know, right? You just like get into this feeling of like, oh, but also, I'm sorry.
But still thankful because you know that it came from the right place.
True. Thank you for reframing my perspective this holiday season.
Yes,
It's part of my
and
job,
I mean, also this holiday season, a lot of people will be in the office and having like office parties, or maybe not in the office, they might be at a venue outside. So my question is, should you let loose at a party in the office versus an office party held outside?
They're both office parties. Just
They're both office
location.
parties, just different location. Like one is in the office, one is like maybe a venue
Right.
that's booked. Like, so do you let loose, i.e. get drunk, get a little like, happier than usual?
I'm always on the bar of no, I think, because there's always going to be, even if it's a party, there's always a professional relationship with your colleagues. I think even if they're like, no, it's not like a what happens if Vegas stays in Vegas kind of situation. You know? They're always
what
gonna,
happens outside office stays? No?
yeah,
Okay.
they're going to remember like, hey, she drank a lot that time, this sort of thing.
Okay, yes, I have to agree because actually we bring up stories from from parties like 10 years ago. Like, oh my God, do you see this?
I feel like this is the place that as your friend, I will now tell the story about myself and
yes,
a party
okay.
that I hosted.
Okay.
New Year's Eve. So for context, I used to host New Year's Eve parties and Chinese New Year parties, as you know. And this was one New Year's Eve, I want to say 2016.
Was this the one where you bought the entire case of champagne?
No, that was completed.
It's another story, but all right, yes.
Yes,
wow.
no. But I think I didn't eat dinner and I drank a lot of bubbles. So I think by midnight I was off my face and I just told everyone, okay guys, like bye. And I just went into my room and the rest of them just continued.
I think that's you're just very responsible.
No. They have not stopped talking about it for 10 years now.
Yeah,
But at least you
just
didn't
left
bother
us.
anyone. You just went to your room and,
But it was in her house, so
decompress.
I think it was
Yes.
okay.
No, but so my point about telling this story is that even though this is a house party and that happened, you all haven't stopped talking about it for the last 10 years. Can you imagine if that happened in an office? And I'm so glad that none of you do my appraisal or are involved in my professional life.
I have been in an office party where I saw my not here obviously. I saw my boss like let loose, and it changed my perspective with her for a while.
But why though?
I think I was much younger then. So I think for me, seeing this change from being a very rigid manager to suddenly like being let loose and like not being able to hold her alcohol was a bit like, okay, interesting. I shall keep this for a little date or anything. But I mean, I think it comes from it. But to answer your question, I think. It's good because it's an office theme party to have a level of boundary, I think, on how you act, like how much you can let loose. Because at the end of the day, these people are still your colleagues, they're still that professional one. Who's to say that won't affect your professional relationship with them?
Yeah, because people never forget. I feel like they do kind of hold it against you. Like,
absolutely.
oh, you drank so much at that party.
That
you
appraisal,
threw up in the
they
ice
can't be
bucket.
controlled. They're not responsible.
Yeah.
They look like they have a drinking problem. But what about if, the main event, right? We have this office thing, everyone is like quite restrained. Then we're like, hey, the few of us, we're closer. Let's go
After
for an
party?
after party at the second location. Is it okay to let a bit more loose, especially if these are colleagues that you are closer to?
Yes.
I think it really depends on the context of your relationships with them, right? If you're going to close, I see both of you guys that you chose to go out somewhere and do it, then I think that's fine because you guys have history of being friends and you guys are close. There's a level of personal relationship that is, I guess, maybe bigger than a professional one. Then I think that's okay.
Then next follow-up question. Sorry, I'm just like the entire format of this show has been like taken over.
I know, no, but actually my follow-up question to that was, is it okay to have an after party without telling other people?
That was what I was going to
Oh,
say.
okay, sorry,
And then your colleagues,
yes.
then in case like a few of the others decide that, hey, you know what, maybe, or they see a bunch of us going off to another thing. Then,
Yeah, so I think that's the awkward part about the party situation because you don't want the night to end, right? And then you're just continuing, but maybe you just want a smaller group or more intimate like setting or whatever. And then it's like, should you announce it like, okay, bye guys, we're gonna go
I mean,
off?
it depends, right? If you want them there. I mean, this already goes away from being an office party. It's already away from that already, right? You're just doing a much smaller subset elsewhere outside of it. Then it's not like high school, right? You don't get involved, you don't get invited, then you get invited. Like, this is like
Life is high school forever. That is a hill I will
Grow
die
up, man.
on. Oh. But I mean, I don't have an issue with it. But okay, I will confess.
I understand what you mean.
If I'm new to the office and then I see like people, or not even if I'm new, I will confess like, oh, if I'm not included in like a party, then I feel
that's
like
fair.
a little bit. So I think my take is, if you want to go to an after party after it, just be discreet about it. Like,
right. Don't be like, hey, we're going, you're not
Yeah.
invited. Do people even do that? That's kind of mean.
I think they go out as a general like whole group, like everybody leaves at the
You
same
can
time.
notice this
Yeah.
sort of
So
thing.
then the rest of the people who are left, and then
Yeah.
suddenly there's a void in the party because like maybe 10 people have left, and then
Right.
it's clear that the party just ended there because they left, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe just be discreet about it.
Though on a
Yeah.
personal sense, I always abide to this thing of like, you cannot control what people do. You can control how it makes you feel. So I can choose to feel like excluded, and I have, believe me, felt that way before. But I can only choose like how it affects me, right? So then I just get over it on my own, because that's how life is. Sometimes you don't, and who knows, maybe they didn't intend to leave you out. They just, in the spirit of like partying, they just forgot to invite you. Then they're like, oh my gosh, we forgot to invite you. So you never know these sort of things.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that during the holidays, because there's so many things happening, right? So many social gatherings, and then sometimes you're just not invited to everything, and then you kind of feel left out, but it's not you really. I hope people remember that.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like they didn't, specifically choose to exclude you lah, but
But you can't stop them, right? You can only choose how you deal with it.
yeah.
Well, I suppose one way of preempting it also is what I think I use that as a coping mechanism, which is that I always make sure that I'm the one who organizes like the after party.
Oh, yeah. So you don't want to get left out, is it?
Either you don't get left out, or like I know that I can't properly, relax with my colleagues. Then I call up my other friends who will be like, hey, you know what? I have got this work thing, and then after that, I'll come and meet you guys somewhere else at a bar. So you have somewhere to go, and then it also, you have somewhere else to go. You don't have to hang out with them, and also it adds a little bit to the mystique. Like, oh, where is she going? Why is she going to like another place? Why are we not invited?
Like we're organizing this like mystery.
Not around you guys, because you're my friends, like real friends.
Oh, okay. Okay, because we get invited to the after party, so it's fine. Sometimes.
But I know what you mean.
Look at her being exclusionary. You see why this show needs to be taken over.
Hey, no, it's not happening, okay? Okay, let's go to the house parties. I want to talk about that for a while. So, scenario based, you said you would go to your friend's dinner, and your friend's been cooking up a storm the whole day, and you know this, but then towards the time of the party, you just don't feel sociable enough to go out. You just don't feel it. Is it all right to cancel at the last minute and say, hey, I'm not feeling too great, I'm not going to turn up? Because there's going to be other people there. So is it okay not to turn up if you're not feeling up for it?
As someone who regularly hosts,
Okay.
and who spends, I think it depends on the level of effort for the party. If it is a party where your friend is ordering in food, like whenever you guys come over, I just can't be bothered anymore ordering KFC, right? Or McDonald's nuggets. But like with some other people, I still do bother to cook. And as you said, in this scenario, the person has been cooking the entire day. I feel like you at least make an effort, show up. You don't have to like dress super nicely. Just go say that, hey, I'm not feeling at my best today, but I just want to come, and because I know you've been cooking, just to show you make a little bit of an effort to match your friend's effort. And clearly they have invited you. This is a guest list that they have thought through, and there is a reason why you're on that list and why they have gone through all this effort to prepare this. And then you go, and maybe after an hour you're not feeling it, and then that's when you can tap out and be like, hey, you know what, I need to go and hug my cats. I'm just not feeling too well. And
Yeah. I mean, I agree, because I know some people who who are introverts, and like sometimes it gets too much, right? Like there's a lot of people, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of eating, and then they're like, I can't do this, I need to tap out.
Yeah.
But I do also know some people who just won't turn up. Like To me, it's a little bit.
Maybe they're even telling you just don't turn up.
No, they say, but it's like not enough notice. I feel like, and then they.
Yeah, and I feel like, if someone has really like spent a lot of time preparing, if it's like a catered dinner, then whatever, right? But
So if catered dinner, then you will be like, yeah, it's all right. I'm just not going to come.
I mean, if it's catered dinner, means that there probably are going to be more people. The level of effort is just a little bit different from like when
I
they have been
disagree.
personally cooking. No, I'm not, I mean, yes, I know what you're referring to, Nata, as. So okay, in your very specific example, it is a sit down dinner.
Okay,
So if it's-
for context, I am hosting my first ever Friendsgiving this Saturday.
Okay, I didn't get an invite.
Yeah. I mean,
None of
it's
all
testing.
these other
I'm stressed-
people out there are invited, and either poor people. Are you going to invite all of them?
I'm stress testing my house, so it's just
Understand,
yes.
yeah.
So I mean I don't cook, so I ain't slaving on the stove. But I've spent like 2 weeks prepping for this.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna eat off proper plates, and I have all the cutlery sorted, and that's like cutlery for 10 people. And I went to go get it. I went to go and get the serving bowls and everything. So if someone calls me in like 2 hours before the party and says I'm not coming, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be so mad.
Would you ask them why? Or would you just be like, forget it? Because I mean, if they're sick, then that's a different story, right? But if like the reason that they're not coming because of what you said, they're just not feeling up to it, then I think you have every right to be upset. But if it's like they're sick, then some things like you cannot control.
Yeah, but if you're sick, you would know 2 hours before. What?
Maybe I've been in that position before where like I was sick maybe like maybe a day before, but I really want to be there for my friend, but I just didn't get any better, and it got to the point where I will be affecting other people, and then maybe like I send an apology in some way, maybe get them a basket of food, I don't know, or whatever. But I actually understand what you mean about catered food compared to but I'm not necessarily agreeing with it, but I understand because like what you said, if you were to buy catered food like buffet, usually there's like a minimum packs, right? So you already know there's a lot of people. And that's what I mean by the context of it, of like, if let's say it's a bigger party, let's say there's like 50, 100 people, where your attendance will not be missed in that sense. As long as you maybe be apologetic. I think that's one thing. Like, don't be an about it, right? That sort of thing. But I've been in that position as well where I've cooked. And this was a specific thing with like, oh, we're coming to your place. So I was like, okay, I'm going to host. So I cooked. And I kid you not, like 2 hours before, oh, we're not coming because we're kind of tired. So we have all this food that was made specifically for them. And then it was just, I was frustrated, to be honest, because I think that was like, being tired is one thing, but like, I was just kind of frustrated because where would the food go? So we had lunch for the rest of the week, but it's just more of like, it made me rethink about relationship because it's like, if you don't, it's more like not valuing my time and the effort I spent on doing this.
Did the person know that you were cooking?
I mean, of course, when you come to the house, it's already like, it's meant to be like food and everything, this sort of thing, right? It's not like, I'm going to come to visit. So there'll be, and we mentioned there's going to be food involved.
Right.
So there's a level of that. But if it's like a catered thing, usually like maybe let's say 100 packs or whatever, and you are not being able to be there, I think usually it's not that terrible. Not as bad as if you were cooking it specifically for them. Like in your case, if you were doing like 10 plates with cutlery all sorted and someone backs out just because you're not feeling it, I think the context of your relationship matters here.
No,
How
I think
close you are.
yes. So I want to rephrase what I said. I think if it is a sit down dinner, like your thing is, then it is not cool. It is not cool to like pull out 2 hours before because it's a sit down dinner. Obviously, thought has gone into deciding who sits where and who is on the list.
There's a lot of effort.
Can these people interact with each other as compared to like a thing which I sometimes host where people are just like sort of standing around in groups and just chatting and like eating off like plates and which is slightly different.
But also like the whole thing of, if let's say I'm not sociable, because I've been in a position of like, oh, I have this thing where I'm really not feeling today. Because they're my friend, I would still go. I don't have to stay for so long, but just to show up, just to appreciate the effort. And maybe you stay for maybe 1-2 hours and then you're like, okay, I got to go. And I think that kind of effort as a host, I would feel like appreciated,
Yeah.
And I'd much rather like that than someone just not care for my time, be like, nah, I'm not feeling it, so I'm just going to cancel.
Yeah.
And then like see their Instagram story, they're just, I don't know, watching TV or what, and be like, come on now.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Post an Instagram story
some
of
people
themselves
are not
watching
very
TV.
some people are not smart. I don't know, catching up on shows or whatever, but that sort of thing, like, but again, like their context, right? If they're sick or I don't know, emergencies or things that happen in the family, these sort of things is unfortunate, but it sometimes cannot be helped. But if things that like I'm just not feeling it, like I just don't want to be around people, then learn to go and then just maybe go to a room and play with some cats or whatever by yourself, or after a
but
while
just show
leave.
up, right?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that matters in the friendship.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about them,
Talking about going into a room and playing with cats.
with the
wait,
permission
Liz,
of the host.
Before you go there, I need to ask, is the flip side also okay? So if you get a last minute invitation, is that nice? As in, would you still go?
How last minute is last
Yes.
minute?
Like a couple of hours.
Nah.
What
Like,
kind
is it
of
okay
party is it?
okay, so let's say someone drops out of your party and you want to fill the spot. Like it's it's like a smaller thing and whatever. And you want to fill the spot. Is it okay to call someone else 2 hours before? Or like again, does it depend on the relationship? Like,
I think it depends on the relationship.
but the people who you'll be close to and who will give you leeway for this will be at your party, I feel. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Then like if you suddenly find someone to like fill the spot, is that okay?
I wouldn't do that lah. I wouldn't do that because I've already if it's a small party that that is sit down, someone drops out, and I wouldn't find someone to replace them because this curation of people has been thought out,
Yeah.
and there is a certain dynamic or there is a theme that I want to go with. There are things we want to talk about. If I just added someone else new in, it firstly would upset the dynamic, and secondly, as you mentioned, the people who would be okay with being invited to a party last minute, like a sit-down dinner party last minute, will probably all already be at this. So why unless it would like, oh, tonight I'm having like a drinks thing, if you're free, just pop by. That's just completely different.
Yeah. I think it's also like, you ask yourself, what is the purpose of you inviting these people? Are you just doing it to fill seats? Then that means you're being kind of selfish, because that means you're just doing it to help with your own conscience and not about your friends' feelings. I think that's the part that is like, okay. I mean, if I was invited last minute for like 2 hours, I have this party, I would also be like, okay, that's kind of messed up, so I probably wouldn't come. But let's say if I'm on the way and I'm like, heck, free food, whatever. It really depends on the dynamic of the friendship. But I will still have that thought in my head, like, oh, so I wasn't invited and now I'm getting a pity invite just because you need someone to fill the table.
Exactly. And even if I was staying at home, like hugging my cats and watching Disney Plus or something, right, I would just be like, no, sorry, I've got plans.
Yeah. I think it's like self-respect,
Yes, and I would probably get some old pictures from
you
like
just-
something.
Why
And then
not
she will
just go to
post
the
on Instagram watching TV.
Why just go to your house and like eat all the food and like, ciao guys. Like, okay, no.
Maybe it's like a self-respect thing. Like,
Yeah, it's for self-respect. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours before is a bit much.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, even
Okay.
if it were like lunchtime for dinner things, so like
Still
obviously
too.
you're asking me on the day itself because you had
Because you're trying to fill
Yeah.
a seat.
I know, it's so hurtful, right?
Like I'm your friend.
I'm
I'm just not a person to fill a hole in your table, you know?
Okay. Got it. Liz, I'm going to ask you to ask that question you're dying to ask about your cats. What about your cats?
It is not the question about my cats. It is a question about, should there be pet etiquette? Do you think
Explain.
I would like to address our audiences at home to say that it is not okay to just walk into someone's house and immediately rush for their pets or start opening the doors to rooms to look for their animals just because they have cute pets, be it cats, dogs, or other things. Whether your kids, be they two-legged and
Or
walking,
four-legged.
or four-legged with a tail and
Yes.
furry, there should be ground rules involved. Like when you go to you as the host will now set the ground rules. And for me, it's very simple. You come in, do not try to look for the cats. Do not feed them anything off the table if and whenever they come out.
People do that.
Yes, and people do it. Well, not so much to cats, but a lot to dogs, because dogs are a little bit more friendly and they
They will
tend
eat
to
food that
eat
you
everything.
pass them, yeah.
And many things are toxic to dogs and cats as well.
I think a lot of
which
people
is
don't know. So they think that you can feed. Just because they're an animal, you can like feed them and things.
as the host, it is incumbent upon you to set the ground rules. Don't do this, don't do that. Do not go into my bedroom. The door is shut. Yes, the cats are inside there, but this is not an invitation for you to go inside. It has happened twice. No, it has happened twice to me in Beijing, at least. And then I was very strict about it. And initially I thought I would be nice because one was that someone had brought their kid and the kid was obviously getting a bit restless. And I do have like painting and art in my place, paintings and art. And the kid was now starting to play with these things instead. So someone else thought they were being helpful and decided to bring the kid to look for the cat. And they knew the cats were in my room. And it wasn't great. Like the kid was trying to like pull Scouty out from from under the bed. Yeah, Scouty is my big cat. So
I think as parents, you should teach your kids not to.
yeah, that same
But this
that's
goes
a
back
bigger
to
thing.
like people's
that same child went to
etiquette,
someone
right?
else's house, right, and put the hand in the fish tank.
Oh.
Natural selection.
I mean,
I will tell you.
I mean, okay, so then it goes to the question of if you're at a party with adults where it's mostly adults, would you bring your child? I feel like this question will get me cancelled, but my take is if it's a party full of adults, you need to find a babysitter for your kid.
Yeah, I think as the host, it is again the responsibility is on you. The onus is on you to set the ground rules. Like you decide what kind of party you want to host. If you want it to be a family thing where everyone can bring their kids, it's just going to be like casual.
Yeah.
We're not going to have like breakable glassware. Sure, just then it's free for all. You don't have to say bring or don't bring. But if it is, like one of Natasha's parties, this is very fancy, and then we have proper
Cutleries
stemware
and everything, yeah.
cutlery and serving bowls, then as a host you'd be like, no children allowed, or if they don't say, then the parents will now. It's now also on them to ask you, hey, is it okay if we bring our kids?
So I think a lot of people don't ask. I think sometimes people
Who are
assume.
you friends with? They don't ask these before they come. They should ask these things.
No, I'm usually a guest at someone else's.
Right. PSA,
place, yeah.
ask the host first before you bring things. You should
Yeah.
just ask. I think it's out of
Yeah.
courtesy.
Yeah.
But
Before you bring things like dessert and children, like, should I bring dessert and can my
Yeah.
children come? Yes.
Or some people want to bring like their fur kids as well, like they want to bring dogs, and then I would also decide, is your dog big or small, or what is your dog's temperament like? Are they going to be like rushing after my cats, or are they of very good temperament that my cat will come out and like perch and start like looking suspiciously at the dog and then go and sniff at them?
Yeah.
So it does make a difference.
It's also being considerate to other guests because some people may be allergic or, they just cannot be around pets.
that is also
But
true.
I think in this case, it's about context, right? If you're a friend group where maybe one of you guys have a kid and you guys are very close to the kid and whatnot, then maybe that sort of thing may pass. But again, it all boils down to asking the question first. You should not feel entitled to bring your kid, whether it's 2-legged or 4-legged, to come without asking first. I've hosted before where a guest brought their kids, but that's because they had asked if it's possible because no one could take care of them. And for me, it was like, okay, sure. I just have to figure out a way to deal with kids in that point. But
And it was okay?
I mean, the kids were just being kids. Like they were like, maybe they broke a few glasses. But for me, I was like, it's part of growing up. I was not very mad because I was like, I would understand being in a position of like, they didn't mean to do it. I've been a kid once, I've broken things. And I chose to say yes to them coming. So I take the responsibility of what happens afterwards because I said yes. But if I said no and they brought it, then that's like, I think that's kind of disrespectful as a friend.
So do you say you get out?
You're never invited again. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's important to ask, I think. But I've been in situations where they've asked and I'm kind of like, I can't really say no, right? Because I don't want to make them feel like I don't like the kids. Then it's a very sticky
Yeah, so you see there's like all this like party etiquette that's really, and as a host, do you like sit there and like suck it up? Because
No, you should
even though it's your
stand
house,
your ground. I think as a host, you should stand your ground.
it's about ground rules as well, and it's not personal. It's just that it's not about their kid. You can hang out with their kid at some other point, but it's about making sure that the rest of your guests have a great time. If not, like we are coming together this gathering once a year, a few times a year, and then everyone just wants to catch up and celebrate each other, and then you've got someone who is minding their kid or a kid that is like running around and people having to take turns to entertain these kids and so entertaining each other. So then it becomes distracting. But that being said, and you know that my parents used to host a lot, and as a kid they would take me along to either parties or they would. Why I have become such a good host is because I learned from watching them as well, and they knew that when your kid is a certain age, you can either take them along or you also teach your kid and tell them how you should be behaving. Don't talk to someone else about something that they're not interested in. Always ask someone how are you, and learn how to talk to adults rather than expecting people to entertain you.
Yeah.
So like I remember being brought to these things. I would either have a book or have like a Game Boy to play, and then But when the adults decide that they want to chat with me, and then I have a conversation with them, I don't just like continue playing or continue reading my book.
Do you think people have lost the art of conversation? You just talk about work or, you know, when you go to a party and then it's just, bitching.
True. Yeah.
I mean, that is still a conversation. I'll take gossip.
Okay.
Yep, and gossip.
Everybody better be bringing some tea. Don't bring me anything, just bring tea. It's like
So no coffee, only tea?
Yes, only tea, only tea.
It's form of, I mean, it's kind of bonding, right? Trauma bonding, but still bonding.
Yeah.
But I think if you talk about conversation, what do you want to talk about? Politics? You know that meme from Jaden Smith, the social economic politics of the world. Like, I mean, just have fun, being around your friends and whatever you try to talk about. I think that is more important than having topics that I talk about. Some people just, are just more listeners than they are, sharing this kind of thing. And you need both for a good party. You cannot just have a bunch of yappers going off and then it's just like, what's going on?
We are yappers.
Then no one's listening, that sort of thing. But it's good to have a good balance. And I think that's just how sometimes it is, Especially if a guest list of everyone who wants to share a story, then no one's listening. Yeah. Then you might leave the party.
Some people do that and they don't realize it, that they are dominating the conversation and you're like, oh my God.
Are you talking about Liz? That's kind of mean.
Sorry? What's that? Oh my God, I missed it. All right, but I feel like...
No, I was doing a joke about how she was saying she's taking over the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Elizabeth, calm down. Yes, it's my joke. Yes. Yeah, no, but is there like a signal that you can give to someone when they're like dominating a conversation?
I would say I know this because I have my partner does this a lot. He's like that. But that's because he doesn't know. So he has ADHD. And this is a thing. Like, I mean, and I have ADHD also. So like I'm more in tune about knowing this kind of thing. And sometimes it just cannot be helped. Like they don't realize that they're dominating without realizing. They're just trying to add into the conversation. And sometimes it's more of like how you tell them really affects your relationship with them. You cannot just be like, okay, be quiet now. Like, shut up. We're talking, Like,
so what do you do?
Because we are both like, we have talked about this in length about how sometimes he dominates conversation. So I have a look. And then and he looks at me, he's like, oh, okay.
Look like? How does it look like?
I just go like, and then he's like, oh, okay, I'll stop. And I can tell, because sometimes when you observe when one person is dominating, then the rest of the party, like, you can see like some people just like slink away and they just kind of like get bored because they're trying to add, but they can't. And I think for me, it's just more of understanding that it's not always on purpose. There are people who obviously make things about them, like narcissists and whatever. But there are some people who just genuinely like want to add and have a good time, and I guess great storytellers in that sense. And sometimes they don't know about it. And I've learned that how you choose to tell them really would change the dynamic of your friendship, of your relationship with them. Because if you go ahead and, like I said, if you just went and like cut them off, then you would, you'll cause a lot of like discomfort for that person.
They will not be at the party next year. Use your parties as culling spaces. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
What is the maximum number of people you would host at a party?
If I'm in my place, because I have a relatively small place, I don't think I can take anything more than like 12. Because I think after a while, I get very tired. Like my energy is being absorbed by everything. So I'm the kind of person who can be social when I need to, but then like within like a couple hours, I'm like, I have to retreat to my room to decompress. I need to decompress for a bit. Yeah. But I'll be back afterwards. And because I'm a host, I have to come back, right?
Oh my God, you do. You actually like go in, decompress, and then come back out.
So that's it. So like the recent party that I hosted, right? It was for my partner's friends. So I was just more of like the co-host, but I made all the food and everything. And then when I realized I couldn't deal with like just the jovialness of everything, because they have their own inside jokes I'm not part of because it's not my friends. I just went to the kitchen and just started cleaning up like dishes and whatever. And people were like, no, stop playing. I'm like, no, I need this. This is me decompressing. I'm not trying to be rude, or I'm not trying to say like, oh, you guys don't invite me. This is how I decompress. I'll be back. Like, but give me like 10 minutes. After a while, it's just kind of tired. Or I'll go to my room and play with my cats for a bit. And I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I can go back now. You need to recharge the social battery. It does take out a lot from you, especially if you're an introvert. So then there's that. And that's why you have cats, because then you can, I have to check on them.
Just to add on a little bit to that, but I feel that if you're hosting especially if it's your partner's friends, right? So they can do the hosting, right, and you are playing like the supporting role.
Yes.
And actually, it also helps in the logistical management, because then you can be the one who is like, just cleaning up a little bit, making sure that
Next course, prepare that sort of thing.
yeah, topping up drinks, so that they can really just focus on hanging out with their friends. And also, like, at the end of the day, when it comes to the actual full cleaning up, because you're cleaning as you go, then it's not as tiring at the end of the night.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Hosting tips with Liz.
I know. I feel like that should be just an episode on its own. Like, see, I was right. Season hoster.
Have you done?
I mean,
you
it is
don't,
true,
you
it is
don't
true.
see the effort that goes into it, okay?
Calm down. Don't take it out on the mic, please. Okay, I need to ask you guys just one major pet peeve about the holiday season parties, if we haven't discussed it
As
already.
a host or as a guest? Or
Doesn't matter.
Enforce fun.
all gather around, icebreaker, share one thing about yourself, that sort of thing.
I'll do it on Saturday. Just because you hate it so much. But yes, okay, like just quickly.
Because we're not allowed to swear here, know that, like, all the thoughts in my head.
What about enforced fun do you not like?
Huh?
Okay, I answered my own question in my question. What about enforced fun do you not like?
Exactly. What is there to like? It just reminds you completely of school when you go to camp and like, hey everyone, tell us a fun fact about yourself that someone else doesn't know. No, the fact that people don't know this fact about me, it means that I don't want people to know. Why do I have to take part in this?
I feel like this just exploded. We should just move on to Friday now. But point taken, no enforced fun for Elizabeth. But all right, okay, Friday pet peeve as a host or a guest.
I think if you are a guest and you're not self-aware of the surroundings, it is like everything, such as like you bring your pet to a party that you have not asked before, like you didn't ask in advance, or like you laugh out loud and you just break things around and you're just like, it's all for fun. Hey, that's happened before, My mom's precious glasses, it just broke because this friend of mine was like laughing. And I told my mom and I'm like, your glass broke. And this was like when I was much younger. So she was just kind of upset about it. And then there was no apology because to them it's like all part of the fun. Or finishing the food or like getting like extra helpings before everyone got some. So I'm very, when it comes to food especially, I'm very like particular in making sure that everyone is fed, because my biggest weakness is when someone is hungry or doesn't have enough food. So as a host for me also, if like I don't have enough food, I think that's failure. I'm like, no, we need more food. I'd rather have more food and you guys can bring some home than to really not enough food and you guys still hungry. So like if people are still hungry afterwards, that sort of thing. But I've had guests before who like just did not think about other people first and then just got more, which, it's just more like, okay, I know you're hungry, but like, can you just make sure that everyone has some first? Or if let's say I catered like say vegetarian food for a friend who's vegetarian and they're just like, oh, because that looks good, so they're gonna grab it. That sort of thing. I think it speaks more about you as a person than anything else. That's my pet peeve. Then I'm like, okay, you are off my list.
I was gonna say, do you have a blacklist? Because you know very well that I do.
Yes.
Handed down from my mother.
Yes.
I don't have one, but I think that's because I don't host enough. Maybe, but I think will you tell people they're on the bad list? I guess not, right?
No, I think it's
But they
like
would
you just
know.
don't invite them
But
the
they,
next year.
but they start to realize, and then they make like social media comments like, "Hey, I miss spending Chinese New Year at your house. Hey, I miss having like bubbles with all of you."
Oh my gosh, that's some self-awareness, man.
And on that note, we should all be self-aware this Christmas as we go into a new year. So thank you guys very much for coming on the show. I feel like it's going to escalate if I don't shut it down. But yes, I think that you guys gave the viewers a lot of food for thought. And so I want to thank you very much for sharing your hosting tips and your, tips about office parties. To come back anytime to the usual place. Maybe next holiday, which is Chinese New Year, right? Then you just remind everybody to do this episode again.
Different set of rules for Chinese New Year, and we'll talk about that next time.
You can reuse this because it's red and gold.
All right. Thank you guys very much. And that's it from the usual place. Now, do you have a pet peeve at social gatherings at the holidays? Now, tell me in the comment section. And while you're there, like, subscribe, or hit the notification bell to get fresh content from the show. And if you want to listen to the podcast version, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on the ST app. And you can also find me on Instagram at theusualplace_net. I'll see you next time at The Usual Place, and happy holidays.
Bye.